Hello everyone, today we are breaking down Season 5, Episode 1, The Crawl of Stranger Things. But before that, remember to like the video, helps out the channel a lot, and subscribe, and yada yada yada, let's get to it. The first thing we see is a flashback to 1983, so we are back in Season 1. We are following Will, and he is in the Upside Down. He's camping out when a Demogorgon finds him. Will climbs up a tree trying to avoid the creature, but he ends up falling and knocking himself out. The Demogorgon does not kill him, but drags him off and brings him to Vecna. Vecna starts pumping Will full of black particles, the same thing the Mind Flare is made out of. Vecna then says that he and Will are going to do beautiful things together. So this is the reason why Will has this connection to Vecna and the Upside Down. This is why he can sense his presence. He is linked to Vecna. Now they are showing this for a reason. Even though in Season 2 it was believed they got rid of the black particles in Will's body, severing the link. But he's still connected. They are just more dormant in his body. So that means whatever Vecna had planned back then can still happen. We're now in the current timeline of 1987. So it's been a little over a year after the events of Season 4. We see that the Byers family is staying with the Wheelers. They were living in California, but they moved back here to help put an end to Vecna. Will, Mike, and Holly ride their bikes to school. They listen to the radio on the way there, and we hear a familiar voice. It's Robin. Her and Steve are doing the local radio show in Hawkins. Robin kindly gives us a rundown of what has been happening in the town since the last time we saw it. If you recall, there was a giant gateway formed by Vecna last season, and it went all the way through the town. Robin tells us that the military has basically quarantined Hawkins. At the end of last season, the Upside Down started making its way into this realm. We saw a red cloud in the sky and black ash coming down, killing a lot of the greenery. Well, the US government does not know what this is or what it could do to humans, which is why they want to keep the people who were here for it in this quarantine zone, so they can monitor it and make sure it does not cause some kind of infectious disease in humans. We then find out what they did to the giant crack, the gateway to the Upside Down that ran all the way through the town. They just covered it up with metal, and apparently that works for now. We then see they still have access to the Upside Down in the middle of the town. It is in a very highly secured area. This is for them to do their experiments and testing and whatnot. What confuses me is that none of the people here are wearing masks. Isn't that the whole reason why they're keeping the people of Hawkins quarantined? For breathing in those particles? The radio equipment starts going haywire. Steve calls technical support, Dustin, asking for help. Dustin gives a lot of attitude, saying he can't always be there to solve his problems. And he gets off the line. Steve is a little hurt and mad about this. This is his little buddy and he's being a jerk to him. This is a very different Dustin than we have seen in previous seasons. We see Dustin walking through the halls of the high school getting stares from people as he walks by them. He is wearing the Hellfire Club t-shirt. Last season, the Hellfire Club was demonized by the town, blaming them and more specifically the leader of it, Eddie, for the murders that were happening. So wearing this shirt doesn't exactly sit right with people. Andy, one of the jocks, tries ripping it off Dustin when Lucas intervenes. Then Will and Mike also come to the defense of Dustin. The jocks leave and the gang talks to Dustin about not wearing that shirt. Dustin is wearing it in remembrance of Eddie. He kinda even started dressing like him. Eddie died last season in the Upside Down, but people still blame him for the murders, even though he had nothing to do with it. And that does not sit right with Dustin, which is why he's doing all this. He knows Eddie was a good man, and he wants people to know that too. But all it's doing is putting a target on his back. Dustin storms off from them, and then we see a missing person sign for 11, and reward money being offered for her location. So if you recall from last season, the US government was after 11, believing she and Vecna are connected in all of this. That she is part of the reason why the gateway happened through Hawkins. So they want to neutralize her, I guess you would say. We are now with 11. She is running an obstacle course, putting her skills to the test. She's going to have to do a 1v1 with Vecna, and she needs to be ready and trained for whatever gets thrown at her during that fight. Hopper and Joyce are watching as she goes through the course, Hopper keeping track of her time. 11 just set a new personal best in completing the course, but she is not satisfied. She wants to go again. Hopper tells her she needs to rest. She might hurt herself. But 11 is stubborn and tells him she is going again. 11 has faced Vecna and almost lost. It took a motivational speech from Mike to beat him, and by then the damage was already done to Max. 11 just wants to make sure she is ready and more prepared the next time she faces Vecna. We're now with Murray. He is entering the town posing as a food delivery driver. Murray was not in Hawkins when everything went down, so he's the only one who can freely travel in and out. We're back with Steve, Robin, Jonathan, and Nancy. They're all at the radio station trying to figure out how to get back on air. So Nancy, Jonathan, and Robin all graduated last year, but they are stuck in the town because of the quarantine, so college will have to wait. Nancy believes she has found something and tells everyone to come over. Steve gets a little too close to her and Jonathan glares at him. So last season, Steve and Nancy had a few moments, and things with Jonathan and her were a bit rocky because of the long distance thing. Now, it isn't said if Nancy and Jonathan are still together at this point or if they're taking a break. Because personally, if I was Jonathan and Steve was coming on to my gal, and she doesn't tell him to knock it off, I'd be out on her. But maybe it's hard to find a good woman in Hawkins. They find out they have to climb to the top of the tower so they can get back on air. Both Jonathan and Steve race up the tower, wanting to impress Nancy. Nancy rolls her eyes at this childish behavior. Murray pulls up to the radio station. Apparently he is a day early, meaning he has some important news. Murray first gives them some supplies, ammo, grenades, things they can use in the fight against Vecna. He then hands them some papers, discussing when the military will be going into the Upside Down to bring supplies in. So the military has a base of operations in the Upside Down, and they periodically bring supplies to them. This supply run is quite the load they are bringing. Murray estimates and says it will take about 2 hours to unload all of it. Nancy says that will be plenty of time for Hopper to do a crawl. This isn't the first time they mentioned a crawl. Mike also mentioned it earlier. Basically, it means Hopper sneaks onto one of the trucks that is bringing supplies to the Upside Down. He then does some recon in there looking for Vecna or any signs of him. Then he sneaks back onto the truck before they leave, returning back to our world, none the wiser. It is quite the operation on how they do it, but I will go into more detail once we get to that part. We're now with Dustin. He sneaks into one of the classrooms and gets a snake. Clearly he's going to do something devious. We're now with the group of friends eating lunch when Robin goes back on the radio airwaves. She tells her listeners that she has a special treat for them that will surely turn them upside down, and starts playing the song with the same title. The group frantics to find paper to write some of the stuff down. Robin says a bunch of random facts and Mike writes down some letters and numbers. We see Hopper and Joyce do the same thing. So clearly the whole group has a code here, signifying when they are going to do the crawl. You may be asking yourself, what's wrong with a telephone call? Well, we don't know who could be listening. We know that the government is after 11, they are probably after Hopper too, so this way things are a bit more secretive. We see Hopper and their group head into the tunnels below Hawkins. You may recall in Season 2 that the mind flare caused these tunnels. As of right now, they're safe, and the military does not know about them, which allows Hopper and the others to travel in incognito mode. These tunnels are sprawling under Hawkins, so they can really go anywhere they need to be. Mike runs down the plan with his group, and Nancy runs down the plan with hers. So as I said, each person has a role in this. It's not as easy as Hopper jumps on the truck and goes in. Mike and Lucas will be Overwatch, watching out for Hopper as he sneaks onto the truck. Dustin and Steve will be following the truck in the right side up, so in the normal world. As we have seen in previous seasons, if you are in the Upside Down and are in the same vicinity as someone in the right side up, you can hear them, though it does not go both ways. But Dustin was able to build some kind of radar, allowing Hopper to radio them and also being able to receive radio transmissions as well. The only issue is that Steve has to try and match the speed of the trucks, And obviously in the right side up, there are other people, so it makes it a bit more challenging. We're now with Mike's younger sister, Holly, and she is speaking with her imaginary friend. Her teacher sees her speaking to no one and is a bit concerned. What could this be? Is it something with Vecna? We're back with Hopper, 11, and Joyce. 11 wants to come on the run with Hopper. Apparently, he promised if she was able to beat the course in a certain amount of time, she can come with him on the crawl. She thinks she beat the time, but Hopper insists that she didn't. 11 storms off, mad at him. Joyce thinks Hopper is lying, and he admits to it. He does not want her coming. It is too dangerous, especially since all the military folks are literally looking for her. Hopper would actually like Will to come with him, if anyone. Remember, he can sense Vecna, which would make Hopper's recon mission way easier. But Joyce, for obvious reasons, does not want him going anywhere near the Upside Down. She really doesn't want to put him in any danger, still babying him. We're now with Andy, the jock that was bullying Dustin earlier. Dustin got some revenge and put a snake in his locker, which scared the crap out of him. The students then all laughed at him for jumping back at it, which is a crazy response. I think Andy has a very typical reaction to this. Anyways, he knows Dustin did this since he left a note in his locker saying Hellfire lives. So Dustin might be in some trouble now. We're now with Mike waiting for his sister outside the elementary school, which is wild, by the way. The show has no concept of time. I looked it up, she's 13. She is closer to the age 11 is supposed to be in the show than Millie Bobby Brown. It's crazy. Anyways, their mother is here. The teacher wanted to speak to her about Holly speaking to her friend and how strange it is. Apparently, her friend told her to be careful, that there are monsters in Hawkins that want to eat her. Mike tells her there are no such things. I still think this could be Vecna, that he's trying to lull her into a false sense of security, that sort of thing. She would be about the same age as Will when he disappeared. Maybe he's going to do to her what he did to Will. We're now with Dustin. He is at Eddie's grave, which was defaced. As I've said, people think he murdered all those people. Dustin notices that it's not paint on the tombstone, however, but blood. Andy chopped up the snake he put in his locker and used its blood to write on Eddie's tombstone. Andy and some of the other jocks of the school confront Dustin here and beat the living crap out of him. We're now with the others at the radio tower waiting for Dustin. He's an essential part of the crawl. He runs the radar, keeping Hopper in radio contact with the others. They tried radioing Dustin, but nothing. He's too busy being beaten up. 11, Hopper, and Joyce arrive. 11 and Mike go and talk. They discuss what happens after all this, after Vecna is defeated. Mike says that in his D&D campaigns, everyone lives happily ever after. That they move to a faraway land away from their past and the trauma that occurred and start their new lives. 11 smiles at this, thinking it sounds nice. In my experience, when a TV show does something like this, it means it's not going to happen. But you never know. The crawl is about to start and Dustin has still not shown up. So Jonathan will be taking over radar duties. So he gets to hang out with Steve, which I'm sure the two are thrilled about. Hopper heads into the tunnels. Lucky for him, one leads right underneath the military outpost where the gateway is. Lucas and Mike watch from above and the others hang out at the radio station. The military burns the gateway open, creating a path for the trucks. With the smoke in the air, Hopper is able to sneak into the back of one when Mike and Lucas give him the all clear. The trucks enter the Upside Down. Everything is going according to plan for the most part when a Demogorgon attacks the convoy. Weirdly enough, though, Will has a vision. He is in the POV of the Demogorgon. Will spazzes out on the floor from whatever is happening to him. He fries all the electronics around him, cutting off communication with Hopper. Hopper, being the only survivor from the attack, runs off into the forest, knowing he is dead if he doesn't find somewhere to hide. Will, still in the POV of the Demogorgon, sees the creature head towards Mike and Nancy's house in the Upside Down. He gets out of the trance and tells the others what he saw. Nancy believes this must mean her family is in danger, but she has no way of warning them because everything got fried. We're now with Holly in her room when a gateway opens up and a Demogorgon pops his head out. She screams and it goes black. So as I have said, Will and Vecna are connected, so maybe Vecna is controlling the Demogorgon, which is why Will was seeing its POV. This would also explain why it let Hopper live. Vecna needs to get rid of 11, and the best way to do that is set a trap for her. Make her come save Hopper in the Upside Down. And as I said before, I think Vecna wants to do what he did with Will to Holly, which is why the Demogorgon is here to kidnap her. And that is the end of the episode. What did you think of it? Leave it down in the comments below. And if you want more Stranger Things content, please subscribe and like the video. Check out the Twitter link in the description below. And as always, have an awesome day.